Class, for today's lesson, we are going to study about materials that will dissolve in water and how water dissolves materials. So, what we will need is we will need sugar, salt, and coffee grinds. In your book, you have their sand, but I am going to use coffee grinds because it's a lot more cleaner than sand. So for that, again, we will need 2 glasses of water. And then what we will do is to put the sugar, the salt, and the coffee grinds in each of these glasses. Alright, let's start with sugar, and then we will go to salt, and then lastly will be the coffee grinds. So here we have sugar. We will put it first inside the cup, and then you see that the sugar is already sinking, so we will mix it in the water. Mix it as much as we can. Right, as you can see, class, the water has become clearer and some of the sugar has started to disappear. That is what we call dissolve. Dissolve is when the materials mix thoroughly with the water. Alright, so let's just mix it some more. Okay. One more. That's enough. Now let's take a look at the glass closely. As you can see, class, in the glass there is no more sugar left. That is what we call dissolve, when materials mix thoroughly with the water, and then you can no longer see some parts of it. For other liquids like juice, the water will just change color, but you will no longer see that there are pieces of sugar. Right, now let's try with the salt. What you can see here in the spoon is salt, so let's put it there in this glass. Okay. Now, first, you can see some pieces of salt, and it is not yet mixed, so this is not yet dissolved. Now let's try to mix it to see if it will dissolve in water also. Just make sure to mix it thoroughly. Right, now the water has become more clear. Alright, let's mix that some more. Okay, now we can no longer see some parts of the salt in the water. Let's check that carefully. No more. So, class, salt also dissolves in water. There are no more parts of the salt that you can see after mixing it. But let me remind you that the taste of the salt and the sugar will stay and stick with the water, even though that the sugar is thoroughly dissolved and the salt is thoroughly dissolved. This water here will taste sweet, and this water here will taste salty. So again, what we mean by dissolve is that when a material mixes with water thoroughly and you can no longer see any parts of it. Now let's try to see if the coffee grinds will dissolve in the water. Now what you can see here in the spoon is the coffee grinds. These are not the same coffee that we just put hot water and then it will all just dissolve. This is a coffee that I use to brew coffee, to brew a good coffee, unlike the coffee that we have in the one that we just put hot water on. So this one I just put in the coffee maker, and then this one is a special coffee. So right, let's put it there. Okay, and then mix it. Okay. Mix it even thoroughly. As you can see, the color of the water has changed. And then let's just wait for it to settle down. Okay. Okay. Now, let's try to check if the coffee grinds was able to dissolve in water. Since it's black, let's just try to scoop it from the bottom. Oops! I can still see some coffee grinds. So that means the coffee grinds do not dissolve in the water. Again, the coffee grinds does not dissolve in water. So let's try to scoop some more. Alright, we still have more coffee grinds that didn't dissolve in water. Okay. Now, as you can see clearly, the water has changed color, even though some of the coffee grinds didn't dissolve. Okay, now you can see that there are materials that will dissolve and will not dissolve in water. For example, the coffee grinds will not dissolve in water. The granules will not mix thoroughly, and then it will just stay the same. Right, now let's move on to another experiment. Class, for this experiment, we will see if any of these liquids will mix with water. Now, be careful with the vocabulary that I used. If I used the solid materials, I used the word dissolve, and now I am going to use liquid materials, so I am going to use the word mix. So we have oil, vinegar, and some soy sauce. We will use again water to see if these materials will easily dissolve in other liquids or in water. First we'll put the oil, and then the vinegar, and then the soy sauce. Right, let's do it. First I will put a cap of oil in the water. Alright, okay, so some of the oil are floating on the water. Let's see if we mix it, they will still remain afloat. Right, that's enough. Now let's wait for it to settle down and check. Oh, you see, class, the oil stayed on top of the water. It didn't mix. It didn't even sink. Now observe carefully that the oil has stayed on top of the water. The part that you're seeing there that's floating, that's the oil. So, alright, so we know now that oil doesn't mix with water. Now let's have a try with vinegar. Now let's pour over some vinegar into the water. Okay, and then let's mix it with a spoon. Okay. Class, can you see some vinegar floating? Or can you see it mixing with the water? Right, great job. Vinegar mixes water with water well. You can no longer see that there are some parts of the vinegar, although the water has changed a bit of color. It's become a little bit cloudy, but there are no vinegars that are floating. It just mixes thoroughly with the water, as you can see here. Okay, great job. Now let's go over to the soy sauce and see if it will mix thoroughly with the water. Okay, now let's pour over into the glass of water some soy sauce. Now let's mix it with a spoon. Okay, let's wait for it to settle down. Okay. Now, class, we will not scoop the bottom part of this glass because we know that the soy sauce is a liquid and there are no granules to it. So let's just check this glass if some parts of the soy sauce are floating and some parts are sinking. Okay, now as you can see clearly, that the soy sauce mixes with the water very well too. Now let's go over. Okay, now you can see that this glass of water has changed in color. It has become black. Alright, class. That ends our lesson for the day. I hope you had learned a lot of things about liquid. And if you ever decide to make an experiment at home, please make sure to clean up and stay safe. Thank you very much, everyone. And this is Miss Sarah. Hope to see you all next week.